So just a little disclaimer before we start, this does not go over the basics of Sunny Vegas Pro, so you might want to look for another video if you are looking for those basics. As it implies, first we're going to be talking about flow and sync. What this is kind of just how well the clips you have work with a montage. So I have two clips here, and I have a lot from my other montage that I posted like probably 2 weeks ago as of uploading this. I mean, as of recording this. It's probably been months as of uploading. But as for this, we're going to be syncing it up to a song I stole from Momo's recent montage. I don't know how long ago it will have been at this point, but for now we just have this mess of nothing, so I'll just play it through real fast.
It's a one a man can't eat it all. When things are big, they should be small. Who can tell when magic's bad?
Okay, so that didn't flow well at all. Because there's a lot of people that I noticed like a big problem that beginners have is with flow. They just kind of throw clips in, and it doesn't really work very well with the song at all. Kind of like what you just saw here. So what we're gonna do, first of all, shorten the clips. So like, we're gonna want to get to the part where things actually start to happen. So this neutral light on Lucian, that's where this clip actually, like, I guess technically begins. So we're gonna want to cut a little bit before there. And blah blah blah. And so what we're gonna want to do. Okay, so what I usually like to do with this is find out where I want the next clip to start. So first we're gonna probably gonna start right here. The next clip's probably gonna be like right around here-ish. So we have an idea of where we're gonna want our clip to begin and end now. But I think the most important part to this is probably the ending sync. You want the clip, the end, to sync up really well, so that it flows into the other clip very well too. That way it doesn't just kind of look like a mess of clips. So let's see here. We're gonna just try to get, yeah, that actually works. But you hear the beat, that right there. We're gonna want that to sync up with the explosion in a way. So probably like that. And then the rest of the clip will follow, hopefully. Now we will see. We're gonna add a just a little baby fade transition there. So now that we have the ending, we're gonna see how other ways we can make the flow better for the entirety of the clip. So if you just move this entire thing over a little bit, I think we might have something. Yeah, that works out really well. So that's kind of the gist of flow. Flow is kind of like, there's not really much to flow. It's just what it is. Like, hard syncing is very different from this. You just have to make sure the clip kind of works well with the song, like it does. Now, for this clip, this is probably going to be a bit more of an off sync because this has a consistent beat, but this combo, or this string anyways, kind of goes all over the place. But it doesn't matter as long as most of it syncs up in a way. I don't know how to describe it. Let's see here. Okay, you hear that? The do. I guess, I'm sorry I'm doing, but I gotta do it. So it's around here, and I'm gonna want of course I'm gonna try syncing up the ending of the clip first, because That's how I like to do things. I don't know if other people do it like this, but I do. There we go. Because that first sound is kind of going to be the startup of Nai's recovery, and then the second sound should still kind of sync up to the song fairly well, because it's going to be the start of Nai's recovery, then the part where he gets hit by the recovery, and the part where the explosion happens. You have that, that's the hit, and then there's going to be a third beat that's going to go with the kill most likely. So that's how flow works generally. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of flow really. There's not really that much to it. Crap. So it would just kind of... And that ending of the clip, it's important because this entire space now is just basically space for another transition. It doesn't really matter what kind of transition you add, but the transitions are kind of important too. But I'll get into how to make 2 basic transitions right now. I'm just going to teach you guys how to make some basic transitions from scratch. Well, not entirely from scratch, but like you're going to use probably S-Blurmo curves. This right here. You want to make sure you have this. So this is part of the Sapphire plugin. Highly recommend you guys look into getting this. I'm not going to put a download link in my description, because someone said they wanted a download link for Vegas in the description last time, and I'm not doing that either. So, for this, you're just going to want to drag this down to the clip. You can drag effects down to clips like so, and you're just going to see this appear. So, the first transition we're going to be doing is the basic zoom in transition. There's 2 different ways to do this. There's one that involves a lot of, well, just a whole lot of frames, and another way that just involves like 2 or 3. And you're going to want to have this for both of your clips. So you're going to drag this into this one too. So, to start, we're doing a zoom in, and Z distance is exactly what this is. This is how zoomed in you are, okay? And 1 is the default, keep that in mind. So, be sure to follow my screen. First of all, wrap X and wrap Y, you want to make sure you do this. So like, that way you're gonna have a little extra move to do, you have a little extra room to do things, because like now it's just gonna duplicate itself. But it's not gonna be too noticeable as long as you don't mess with your transitions too much, I think. So first off, we have I think I just duplicated this on accident. Anyways, first, okay. First, we're gonna want to click this little clock, and it's gonna say animate if you hover over it. It basically makes it so you can add key. Press this, by the way. It syncs the cursor from the media, so you can just kind of click around where you want things to be, and it will take you there in this timeline too. So, right off the bat, we're gonna right click on the first thing you see, and you're gonna put it on hold. Why? Because if you don't, something like this is gonna happen, and it's just gonna be really weird. I'll just demonstrate real fast. So for the entire, if you wanted to zoom it in, because like this is a zoom transition after all. Oh man, I made my zoom transition, but now it's just gonna be zooming in for the entirety of this match, so it's gonna be really, really awkward. And you don't want that. So basically, put it on hold. You can delete. I'm gonna delete this. You don't want to click this though. Add keyframe, but add it where you think is necessary. I usually put it around this distance. No specific times. I just put it around the distance I think is alright. Maybe 3 of these little lines. So this is gonna be your first keyframe. This, you do not want to change the value on this because if you change the value on this, it's gonna make something like this happen. It's just gonna kind of happen instantly too. So what you're gonna want to do, keep this at 1. But next up, you can probably set this to slow. Right click on it, on this keyframe, set it to slow fade, and then move over a little bit, and it should automatically add a keyframe as long as you move this just a little bit. But usually for the first one, I'll only move a little bit, not too much, something like that. And then with the second one, you're gonna want it to be on fast, and then move it, and move it over a little bit. And then this very last one is where you're gonna want like the full zoom to be. So like probably around 300 is where I usually end mine. So this is a pretty basic zoom transition. It's gonna look like this. It's not that great. So let's move this. How fast it happens is up to these. This is like an easier way to do it anyways. So that looks better actually. It doesn't seem like it's gonna be that much better, but it will be, trust me. It will be. The timing on this can be awkward sometimes. It'll just happen and it'll be weird. And I get that. I understand. Let's see, what can we do this? Let's move this to 700-ish. Move this one to 400-ish. And change this to smooth fade instead. And of course, naturally, you're gonna want the smooth fade thing to be like right next to this. Because you want the last frames to be kind of snappy. And then for right here, what you're gonna want to do, you're gonna add it again. Of course, I already added mine, so you're just gonna click on this thing, click the animate clock again, and you're gonna want to move it back a little bit. Move Z back since this is the start. Of course, I forgot to wrap reflect. And some people, when it's like this, they like to use radial blur. But for the most part, you don't have to. For this part, you can kind of go with probably 1.3. That's what I would assume is best for the most part. It's up to you. It's up to you. But, so, you're gonna want to go with probably fast fade. Usually you can just kind of set it to 1. Usually it'll just kind of do it itself. But like it'll also look really not good. Yeah, that's kind of bad so far. So, of course, right here, the very second transition you add, you're gonna want it to be closer to the 1. You always want the last 2 frames to be kind of close to each other, so they look kind of snappy. Just, I think it's better. Some people don't, but you know, it's up to you. This is kind of the general idea for zoom transitions. Of course, there's better ways to do this. I don't do this, but this is a good way to start. But that's pretty much it for zoom transitions. But, oh yeah, I forgot to say, you can add radial blur if you feel like. People do this sometimes. I don't usually do this, but if you are to do it, moderate proportional doesn't seem bad. So you see this is the strength of your radial blur. Ooh. You can kind of see it almost looks like it has an impact to it or something, even though it doesn't. I think I'm gonna go with Gaussian for this actually. So my type is gonna be Gaussian. My center is no longer centered. Let me make it centered again. And yeah, now you have that thing. So just like everything else, if you want radial blur, you don't have to do this as an additional step. You can just kind of go plus where the transition starts for strength, and then plus again. Usually you kind of want this to be closer together though, because if you don't, it'll just look kind of sloppy. And it's really only to exaggerate this little effect you see already. This is not radial blur, this is just part of blur mode curves if you use that to make your transition. So you can probably just, you know, strengthen. I would probably put this at 3 at max. And then, crap. And then I'll put this one at 0.1. And slow probably, because why not? It's more important for this part because it kind of blocks out all this extra stuff that makes it very obvious. Like, you know, you'll see what I'm talking about now. See that? Fixed rate? No, gotcha. It doesn't really matter, of course. Proportional actually looks like the play here. But, let's put it at, like, what does 0.3 look like? It's not too extreme, so I'm gonna go with 0.3 here. I said 0.3, not 0.272. And we're gonna slowly make it 0 when most of it is gone. And that's basically it for zoom transitions. And that'll do it for now. The next transition I wanted to show was the creation of the rotation transition. We will be using the same tool for this as blur mode curves. And in order to do this, we have to find it. I think this one, I kind of like this one more than the other one, but it's like more of a, how do I put this? It's more situational, I feel. It's basically the same concept, but with rotate, just plus, and you're gonna tip it some way. Reflect, always reflect, always remember to reflect. Of course, you're gonna want it to be at like around 45-ish. A 45-degree-ish kind of thing. I wouldn't really put it at 90. I mean, you can put it at 90. 90 is like the end goal. 90 is like where you want it to be just before. But usually before then, you want it to be at like 45, halfway there. And then right here, your 45 is gonna be the middle. Slow and then fast, or smooth. Faster, smooth always works. And you'll just have this. Okay, that was bad. Maybe I should use smooth. Anyways, now that we have this, you can just put blur mode curves in this track. Don't forget, turn on reflect. And then rotate animate on. Of course, since we're right here, right off the bat, you're gonna want it to start at 90. You don't want it to start the part where it came from, so you're going to want it to be negative 90. So right here. Fast usually. And then like around 36 to 45. You're going to want it to be like right here with it. And then you're just going to set this to 0. And it should do its own little thing over time. So let's see how that looks. That was anticlimactic because this was so close. I do prefer having fast fade for the end transitions. Let's move it up. Crap, let's move it back a little bit more. Actually give it some feeling. I really like it when it lingers like that, so that's basically your rotate transition. Also situational, but it's essentially the same concept. You don't need radial blur or anything like that though. Just remember, if you start one side, make sure it ends on the other side, or else it'll just be really awkward. Hope this tutorial was able to help you guys. If I didn't explain anything clearly enough, I apologize, and say so in the comments if you need me to elaborate on anything further. I will try to help the best I can in the comment section. And next week we will be moving into hard syncs and mini effects for those syncs, and you guys will see an example of that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.
And I can see